How's it going, guys? It's Lex here. We're back with another Broken Arrow match analysis. Today we'll be playing on dead center, and I'm going to be focusing on the right flank here. So here in the chat, as you can see, I'm just telling them I'm going to be pushing the right side. And also the deck that I'll be using, it's a Marine and Airborne deck, and it's going to be displayed on the top right corner for you guys, so that way you can see the units that I'm using. Here in the beginning, I'm just focusing on doing a little bit of air attacks, getting a 15C Eagle, try to do some damage, but we're not going to be able to do much against 4 of those air units. We got some CQC, I believe, that we're going to be pushing out to the right there, and also a FEP. I'm going to try to get that F-15 Eagle out there, but we were not able to do it. But it'll be fine because it's pretty much far back in the base, and he did parachute out, so we'll be able to get some points back from that unit. Going to keep pushing in on the right side. We're going to have a FEP. I'm mainly using the FEP there to provide some infantry support just in case they bring any tanks or any light to medium armored vehicles. Then my CQC units to get a pretty good foothold established on the right flank there, because I want to be able to have a very good view of the lay of the land to make sure that I'm where the enemy is going to be pushing from. And I like the view from the Force Recon. They have a pretty good view range, and then also your stealth is pretty high too. Here I'm going to try to chase back some of those units, try to see if I get any kills. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything, so I'm going to just RTB him. Being a little risky there. But it's not too expensive. I think my unit for that 15, the way that I have it decked out, is just 190 points, so it's pretty basic. I think just with the 4 AMRAMs, and that's it. But I think I buffed it up to include more range, or more gas, so I think it's probably be able to be a little more effective, especially if I keep him out for a little bit longer. So here we're just going to go ahead and try to take D and J, get some of our Force Recon units in the forest there, and then we also do have a LAV 80, provide us with some anti-heli support. So I noticed they don't really have too much infantry coming down. I haven't seen anything yet. Usually they might, if they're a quicker unit, they would have something close to D as of right now, but they're not even capping it or near capping it, so it seems like they're not going to be too aggressive so far, or they're playing it safe. So my goal here is just to get a foothold, establish a nice defensive line, be able to see what's going on and what the move is going to be on the enemy side. And I know they like to put a lot of infantry in those buildings directly in front of D, so I'm going to make sure that I have CQC to deal with that. Here we're going to also get some M60s out on the right flank, because I know that they could try to go around and ambush me from the sides, or from behind, in which I don't want to have that happen, so I'm going to get some units in those forest areas to make sure that if they do any sort of push, I'm going to be able to respond with that with a nice defensive line. So far, we do have 1 capture point above on the enemy. Still pretty early in the game, so I can't really tell who has the advantage here. And we do see that the enemy units are going to start pushing into D. They have some supply units, and they're obviously going to probably have a little bit of infantry. But I'm not too scared since they don't really have any vehicles, but I'm still waiting on my FEP to get there. He'll be there shortly. But like I said, I'm just trying to focus on trying to establish a defensive line. That way we could hold it for now, and then once we get more points and get more units up, we can start being a little more aggressive and be more on the offensive side of things. So here we're going to go ahead and take Delta since no one's on it. We're going to put some little pressure on them, make them think I'm going to be really aggressive, taking D and try to move into the right flank on the G. But really, I'm just going to try to establish a nice defensive line, and then as I get more units, I'll be more prepared to help my enemies, my friendlies, and then kind of wiggle my way into G, which is my goal here. But my biggest thing too is just making sure that my right flank, especially with all the tree line there, I'm not getting ambushed, because if I lose that right flank, it's just going to collapse, and then it's going to be really hard for our teammates to capture F. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to allow that to happen. Here we're also just going to support our friendlies in the middle by sending our FEP trophy. Since we don't really have any enemy units that are pushing into D, I could utilize that FEP for the middle there to support our friendlies. We're also going to try to get some more, I think, some airborne snipers. I want to be able to have a nice lay of the land with my units, and I think the snipers has, I think, 2,000 or 2,400 range on them, if I remember. And the Force Recon only have about, I think, 1,750. But they're doing its job. They're able to spot some of the enemies out there. And see, as we could see with our Grey Eagle, they don't have too much so far. The one thing I really don't like using the Grey Eagle, mainly because I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. I always end up getting it killed by it going too far out into the map. Like, I put it too close to the middle. But I think that in my head, I'm like, oh no, I'm keeping it really in the back. But it circles around, and then it's like in range of the anti-air, and it just gets taken out. So here I'm just, again, putting more infantry in the right side, going to catch Dragoons, so that way if they do any pushes, because they usually like to push from the right side of the Delta there, from the forest, and into the fields. And so I'm going to have some anti-tank units like the Cat Dragon to be able to handle that. Here we see our cornets. We're going to use that building to cover our trophy. We have our lab AD chilling there. Our CQC is also chilling, and they use a nuke. I don't know if they got a lot of kills. Yeah, see, they still 4-3. And they used it on the other objective, which is, that objective really isn't the smartest one to use it on. Here we're just going to go ahead and put our M60s in the tree line there. Just a basic defensive line, nothing too crazy, nothing too strong. Just enough to be able to deter the enemy and allow me to reposition with a reasonable amount of time. So our Grey Eagle's still up. It hasn't been shot down yet. That's rare for me. Usually I get it killed pretty easily. Again, I don't know what it is. I think that I have it in a safe distance, but it'll circle around and just get blown up. So we have a Lab AD and an M60 over there, so that way the M60 could be able to do enough damage to light to medium vehicles and also sustain some fire from enemy infantry thanks to its explosive armor. And then the Lab AD there just in case they push up some helicopters. So here we're going to be able to get a nice foothold onto D. They haven't really made any advances onto it yet, so I'm assuming that they're pretty hesitant or they're trying to mass up a large amount of units to go and push on the D. That's why I'm kind of preparing this defensive line and just kind of maintaining and moving around my units just in case they do have some stealth units there and they're going to bomb me or drop some arty on me or whatnot. So you're going to try to use that trophy again to support our friendlies. Since this is a pretty hectic battle here, I probably did a little bit of damage to those smalls there. I'm going to push back our trophy since we do see it's getting hit by some of those cornets. I'm going to try to save it because I do know that I'm probably going to eventually need it on the right side for D. But they're not really making any advances. And so here again, we're going to get some more infantry on the right side. I usually airborne with the AT-4s, so they'll be able to have some anti-armor capabilities. And we do have a first recon there. So they do make a push on the force on the right. We will have our infantry to counter the other infantry, and then if they push up a lot of light vehicles, and then we have the two M60s, and then the airborne units have AT-4s. So we should be pretty good. Here I want to be a little bit aggressive because the enemy is taking quite a bit to push in on my side, so I'm going to utilize my M60 and my Lav AD, push in a little bit to see if I can get any kills, but not be too aggressive where I'm going to risk losing those units entirely. Our FEP trophy, we're going to go ahead and push them back to resupply them. Then we do have some Lav Ms coming in to provide some artillery support for our units in the middle of the map. We're going to bring in, I always accidentally try to bring in way too many MTVs. Just trying to, oh, then I didn't even get any units. Any supplies there. I don't know why I did that. Wasn't paying attention, being too fast with my actions per second or per minute, whatever it's called. Here we're going to go ahead and move up our M60 there to take those supplies, and then also our first recon to take out any infantry that are there. I don't know what they're doing on the right side. I have my drone still up. So I don't know if they're just falling apart on the right and just like giving up, but they didn't even really do an attack. They have some, I don't know what units those are, I don't remember, but they don't really have a whole bunch on the side, so I'm kind of confused if they're just all focusing on the middle. I don't really know what they're gonna do, or if they're baiting me with a long push. So that's exactly why I have those units on the right flank there, just in case they do try to go for like a really long map ambush, then I'm able to respond to that. So that's why I'm only using a few units here to sort of be aggressive into a little bit the right flank here. So we're able to take out that unit. Not entirely sure if they have more. Yeah, they do, because I remember seeing a shot. Luckily, our M60 has a decent amount of explosive damage, so it could take around 3 to 4 shots, and there did get killed. But we have our CQC. It's going to take out that enemy units there shortly. Oh, okay, so I see what we did. We had the MATV and then the LVS, or that big old support unit there to drop off 12,000 supplies, and then our MATVs to each get 4,000 and then spread them out across the map for my units. So those units are engaging I think it's the Resvedka, I don't remember. They're going to end up taking it out. Then we're going to get some more first recon because I know that we're going to need a little bit more just in case they push up infantry. Because a lot of our main infantry is on the back there protecting our flank. Here I also want to make sure I'm utilizing my Lav Ms, trying to figure out exactly where to drop bomb on them, but I noticed that I lose my Global Hawk, so I'm going to pop up another Eagle. We're going to start putting some shells on those buildings right there, just in case there's any infantry in there, any cornets or AGS units, grenade launching units. Here we're going to go ahead and utilize their supplies to resupply my own units, regenerate them, and then we're going to go ahead and RTB our I think it's the LVS, and then get our 2 MTVs and bring them up closer so that way we could resupply our FEP tank, And the right side's looking still pretty good. We have our 2 airbornes over there, the M60, the Live AD, and the CAD Dragon. So that should be enough to hold off any offensive they try to get going for me to respond accordingly. You're going to keep dropping some bombs onto, or already on some of the units that I see, just to provide some support and also be a little bit of deterrent so they don't push. Having them constantly move so they can't really get too much of a decent offensive going. And then we're going to we're resupplying our force recon there, making use of their supplies. So luckily for me, this is really big to my advantage, is that they're not really pushing in on the D, and whatever units they had, we pretty much taken care of, insofar as, you know, if they didn't have anything on the far right here. But we do have that nice defensive line to help us out. We're going to use a Thunderbolt to try to get some kills on enemy vehicles with the Mavericks, and whatever else we could get kills with its main gun. So we're going to go ahead. I think we're going to start pushing up our... Oh, we did end up losing that Thunderbolt. Couldn't get any kills off with it. Oh, never mind. We did get one. I'm going to push up our... Always, remember guys, always constantly moving with your artillery, no matter what it is. You do not want to end up losing those things. It could be... They're really... Especially the Lab Ms and like more light artillery, I find that they're really good as displacement units. And even just getting kills too, if the enemy is forgetting about their infantry, I could just put 2 or 3 on a spot, firing on a particular spot, and end up getting a pretty decent amount of kills. And they're also great for smoke too. I love using it for smoke. Able to get a lot of good offensive and also good retreats too when I'm utilizing them properly. So here we're just going to keep putting more pressure on those buildings just in case there's any enemy units there. Here I'm considering getting an Apache, some sort of anti-armor unit. My Apaches are equipped with, I believe it's Hellfire. Oh, then we weren't, again, that's a rookie mistake. We weren't moving our artillery consistently and allowed them to counter artillery me and end up losing my units. We have some airborne snipers there. We're going to push them on the right buildings there, so that way we could get a nice view if they're going to be pushing in from the main road. We'll leave our force recon there. Going to be hidden behind the buildings there and in the forest. So that way we have a decent overview of the land on the right flank, and then we're going to be pushing up our M60 there because we do see that they're going to be pushing in some tanks or some vehicles into J. But we do have an M60, a Live AD, and a FEP, so should be able to take care of any light, medium vehicles. If they have a couple of heavy tanks, then we'll be able to at least put some pressure on them until we have an Apache or something support us. So we're going to push in a little bit. Going to move our first recon. They do have some more tanks pushing in. Here we have a pretty decent foothold on the right flank, so we're not going to have to worry about it. Here I'm just trying to focus in on defending J and then pushing into F, or even trying to make my way around to G, which we will do eventually in this game. Yeah, so we're going to start moving up our CAD Dragons. And then, look, my drone is getting a little too far there. I'm like, oh, shoot. And then I end up losing it. Again, I suck. When it's not if it's not a Sentinel, if it's a Gray Eagle or the Global Hawk, I end up losing those things really quickly. I can't keep those alive for any reason whatsoever. Okay, here we're going to be putting some more pressure on the enemy infantry that's trying to make its way to J. Going to take those hits from those Russian Marines there. Gonna push in our force recon there to put some more pressure on those units. I don't want to end up losing my FEB, but I think we might. I'm gonna try to push it back to get it resupplied, because I really don't want to lose it. And then they have I think it's a cat ran. Oh yeah, they're gonna be doing. It's unfortunate, but we do have our Lab 80 there for that exact reason, and we should be able to get it. Yes, nice. I was able to take care of it. Exactly why we have that Lab 80 there. Again, you want to make sure that you have units to be able to counter whatever is units you might be able to bring up, because if you have any holes in your game, like for example, if I would have had without a Lav 80 or some sort of anti-air unit, if I didn't have one, then I would have been crushed right there. I would have been able to take out my first recon, probably would have been able to take out my trophy, and been able to take care of my M60. So again, having a balanced, insofar as if you're this approach, like if you're mainly doing you're one-sided, if you're not trying to be specialized, like if you're doing like mainly for arty or for bombing, then you don't have to worry too much about being well balanced. But if you are doing like you're pushing aside by yourself, or you're not trying to be specialized, then taking a balanced approach is going to be really beneficial, and making sure that you have units to respond to any unit they could possibly bring out is something that you're going to want to make sure you're considering throughout the game. So here we're going to fire and move, and we did end up losing one of those Lav Ms. We're going to move our Cat Dragons up. So this is exactly why I wanted to move my cat dragons up from that position, but those spreads are going to be able to take him out. So we're going to get some, I believe, what are we going to get? Some a Guardian, and I think we got an Apache as well, another trophy. Because I see that they're going to be moving up a lot of light tank vehicles units, so we're going to make sure we're able to respond to that appropriately. Now I'm not too afraid, mainly because those are just light vehicles, so it's not going to be anything crazy. They don't have a lot of infantry, so they're not going to be able to really hunker down into the forest. And then our dragons, they're not going to be able to get any kills. They're probably just going to get wrecked. We're going to move them back, though. We have an Apache going to provide some support. And then we also have a Guardian there. The reason why I bring out the Guardian is because it has Stingers, so if they do push up any helis of their own, I'll be able to take care of them. And thanks to my friendly there, he did bomb those Spruts, so definitely took care of a lot of those units for me and removed that problem. It's going to allow me to reposition my other units in the back here, because I do realize that they're not going to be not really trying to push up too much on the right flank, so I want to make sure that I'm utilizing those units effectively, and keeping them back there isn't a good use of them, so we're going to go ahead and push them up. But I am going to move my Lav AD and keep it back there, because the enemy on this map, if you're playing on this side, a lot of what the enemy likes to do, whether they're America or Russia, they like to really do long heli flanks, so keeping a Lav AD or something near or at a safe distance on the flank is going to be really effective. So here we did end up losing our Apache, but our Lav AD was able to take care of that. It is unfortunate we lost the Apache. It could have been really useful here, especially for the pushes they like to do on a J. But here we're going to resupply our dragons. We're gonna move up our infantry, so we're going to have somewhat of a decent front line on J. They do end up bombing one of those airborne and the supplies, but not too big of a problem. We're going to move our MTVs to the right and get another Apache, because they are trying to push in on J with a lot of vehicles. Here we try to get more M60s, because they might be getting a push on the right side. I'm getting a little skeptical. Here I'm just like, making a lot of movements, and I'm getting a little afraid because of the fact that I don't really have anything to respond to J yet. I mean, I do have the one M60, the Lav AD, and the Cat Dragon, but that isn't going to be enough really to maintain and take J. We do have our Guardian in the back. Our M60s are going to come. I think the two M60s, what I'm trying to do with my two M60s is I'm going to take them around the right flank, since they don't have any units on the right flank, and then try to come around and attack from the rear of J on the right flank of J, and then make my way somewhat into G. That is the plan here. Then we also have the M60 going to just reverse it, try to micro it enough so that way we could take out that enemy tank there. He did start popping some smokes, other than our Cat Dragons should be able to take him out. If not, we have a trophy to respond, and our Apache as well. Did get one hit off. Our tank should be in there shortly. Oh no, the Apache will take care of it. Alright, now that one is done. We're going to go ahead and move up our airborne and our Lav AD a little more up front. Our friendlies going to be able to take J. So again, guys, that's why you need a... If our enemy units had a nice and a balanced approach when it comes to his unit formations or his front line, he would have been able to respond to my Apache and then be able to at least somewhat defend his tank there from being killed. Because my trophy would have came in, but it would have been able to take care of the Apache and been able to at least utilize that tank for a little bit longer. And then my first recon, I should have held fire on those guys, but they're going to end up getting taken out anyways. So they're trying to make a little bit of a push on for D there. But they're not going to be really successful. I mean, just a couple of spreads. I'll be able to take care of that shortly. We're going to keep our Apache in the back there, as well as our Guardian. We're going to move our infantry to the right and our tank to the right, be able to respond to their little push that they're going to do here on D. So we do have still a decent amount of units. We have our helicopters, Guardian to respond to heli. We have our Lav ADs to respond to heli. But then here we made the mistake of pushing them out into the open. I believe if we have any smoke, we're going to pop some smoke. I don't think that we do though. Yeah, we're going to end up losing that unit. So here I need to play a little more careful, not move out in those large fields there, especially if they have units that can shoot at that distance. We do have still a decent amount of units. We have our Apache to respond to any armor. We have our infantry to respond to somewhat infantry. Our Cat Dragon, we have some artillery to deter enemy units and provide smoke if we need to retreat. Here I need to pop their smoke and get our FEP out of there. Push back our airborne so that way if they overexert or overextend, we're able to respond appropriately with our airborne and ambush them from the forest. Lav M, we're going to keep pushing them around so that way we don't get artillery. Or I don't think I did. Here, just going to try to focus on securing a better spot for my trophy to be able to resupply. We do have those two M60s there on the right, so if they push in with some more spreads or light vehicles, we'll be able to respond if we lose that Apache there. We're going to drop off those two Force Recon. We still have another two M60s. We're going to push into the D. We'll be able to take out any infantry that make a push on the J and even some light vehicles. I think we're going to end up losing our trophy there. Yeah, I don't think it's going to survive. Try to get our cat dragons in a better spot. I should have pushed my trophy back a little bit more because he's being really aggressive here. I think I'm going to end up losing him. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Nope, our friendly was there to help us. And then we're going to be able to take out that other spread there. Nice, okay. So we did successfully save our trophy, I think. No, because that tank did make its way into the forest, so it probably did see the supplies and the trophy resupplying. So I think we're going to end up losing that, actually, if I remember. We're going to make use of our M60s, start pushing them up. The other two M60s on the left there, too, are starting to push up. I think we took care of whatever little offensive they had going there. It wasn't really a great push, but kudos to them for trying. And since our FEP trophy is up, I should have just immediately moved him, but I'm not being smart with it. I'm just trying to micromanage my units and forgetting about my trophy. So I'm not playing as effectively as I could be in this instance. Getting another Lab AD because I realize that I don't have a lot of anti-heli capability here. I don't really have any stingers. And then I also see that's exactly why I liked having a push on the right here with my M60s. It's see if there's any units. Then we're going to be pushing in on the right flank and then trying to go into G with those M60s. Or just be able to prepare for a nice defense if they want to make another push again. So we do end up getting that FEP out of there. We're going to push them up to where Cat Dragons is at. And then we're going to push in our M60s, try to go into F. I thought I was going to use this for G, but I guess not. So we still have our Lab AD over there, again providing some nice defensive cover if they want to push any helis in. Then I think our Force Recon is probably going to get killed, just running in the open like that. And then we do end up losing that trophy anyway, so we revived it and then resupplied it and then lost it anyway, so that was for naught. One of the biggest things too here is just making sure that I'm not just sending my units out one by one to die. And I didn't have that happen with the FEP. He had a better unit to be able to take care of that. And if I had maybe a Lab AD closer, it would have been able to take out that air unit. But it wasn't that smart of me. I should have had my Force Recon or even a lighter unit, just make it a push up a little bit out ahead to see if there's any other units that could counter that. We do have our pack up, trying to resupply it. So we're trying to get more of a offensive leg going onto F, and then we're going to try to go and make our way to G as well. I'm not pushing too much into the SSO because I'm not sure if they have any Cornets, and then I do just see missiles firing off, so they have some sort of anti-armor unit in those buildings there. We're going to try to use the buildings as cover with our M60s, try to take that point back. They do take out our pack. I left the radar on, unfortunately. Wasn't paying attention to that. So a lot of this, guys, remember, a lot of this game too is just making sure that you're paying attention to things. The person that's able to pay attention to more than what you're able to pay attention to and make sure that they're microing them effectively is more often than not going to be able to utilize and save those units a lot more often than you are. And so for me, I was not able to micro and pay attention to my pack, and I lost it due to that. Here we're going to also move our Force Recon out of sight. Pop some smoke there so that way our units can be saved, and then we're going to retreat them, pushing our Cat Dragons to encounter that because we don't really have a long range. Our M60s aren't meant for long range encounters. They're mainly for medium to close range, and that's what we want to utilize them for. So it wasn't the smartest decision of me to push them out from the field, but I wanted to try to catch them off guard and get a little lucky with them. But that's why we sent out my Cat Dragons to support them for any long range engagements. No, we're just sacrificing our Apache at this point. I don't know why I sent them up there. Yeah. Especially he doesn't have really good ECM, so I'm going to be easily taken out. So we do identify some stingers or some form of anti-heli units there, so we're going to put some rounds on that target. Move up our CQC units. We do have a Lab AD there, so if they do push up any helis, we should be able to respond. And then our Guardians there too with stingers, so we should be okay. We do see some SSO. We're going to go ahead and take that out. Cat Dragon's going to go ahead and engage another sprite, and then he's not paying attention to it, so we should be able to get that kill. We do identify some of those Iglas, so we're going to go ahead and put some rounds on that with our M60s and our arty. We keep pushing in, so we're going to put a lot of pressure on them, make them move, make them make mistakes, so that way our team could get a better front line going there, because we did lose quite a bit on F. So here we're just allowing our teammates to reposition themselves, get them back up to where they need to be, put some pressure on the enemy. But here the biggest mistake that I made is I wasn't providing adequate support for my M60 and my Cat Dragons with anti-air. So we're going to push up our Guardian, push up our Lav AD, so that way we can respond accordingly. And then we're also pushing in our airborne there, because we don't really have our force recon can't really handle any tanks or medium armored vehicles. So we're going to push in our airborne there with our Air 5, or I think it's 4 or 5 AT4s, be able to handle that. We're going to go ahead and resupply our Guardian, try to get our Cat Dragon up there to contest for G, just to harass them, get them a little afraid. Then we're going to drop some rounds on those units over there near, where's that, E? So we're able to do a lot of, this is what I like doing, I like putting a lot of pressure on the enemy. It makes them make mistakes, it doesn't give them a lot of time to think, and they're gonna more often than not collapse, especially if they don't respond appropriately. Gonna send up our M60, so we have a decent amount of offensive units here. We have our trophy coming in, we have our Lav AD, gonna be able to put some pressure on those. I think those are alligators or cat rans. But we're gonna probably end up losing our Lav AD just because they outnumber us with their units. And yeah, Lav AD did get destroyed, and our Cat Dragon did get destroyed as well. So here we're gonna try to focus on at least saving the M60 and then just contest for G when they get rid of those enemy helicopters. So we're gonna go ahead and hide our units behind the buildings there, so that we get out of view of those helicopters. Push in our M60s to contest for that point and try to hide it behind the building on G. Push up our Guardian since we have a full one here. Then we're gonna end up losing our Lav M anyways. We'll see what happens there. We're gonna move up our other M60 to contest or put some pressure on E. Send our Guardian over there because I do believe we got rid of some of their Iglas, so it shouldn't be too much of an air net to get through. And then we're doing some damage, and we do end up taking that. We're gonna go ahead and pull it back. I hope we can save our Guardian. I'm not sure we're gonna be able to. Yeah, see, just constantly putting that pressure on them. They don't have the appropriate units to respond to the units that I provide, so we're gonna be able to just consistently put pressure without them being able to respond. Again, that's why I'm really big. I think conceptually for me, I'm really big when it comes to balance, just balancing out my formation, my defensive line, everything that I have. I try to make sure it's balanced, because if I have any holes, they could exploit those holes and just completely collapse my entire flank, my front line, my defensive line. And you want to make sure that you don't have any holes in your game, so they can't do that. For me here, I think the biggest thing right now is I'm not focusing too much on anti-air. I do have my M60, my FEP, and those airborne there, so they're going to be able to handle most ground units, but I don't have a Lav AD and I don't have a Guardian here to support me. So I think here would have been smart to get a RSOV or some quick transportation light vehicle to send up at least a couple of Stingers, just so that way I could act as a deterrent and then also do a little bit of damage. It's not going to do a lot of damage, especially since most of the Russian helicopters have like 25 or 30% ECM. So if you're not using the Ranger Stingers or the STT, you're going to have a really difficult time hitting those units. So there we're making use of the building to provide cover for my tank. We do have some, I think those Super Cobras with Stingers to engage those enemy helis. So far we're able to really exploit the fact that I didn't have a lot of anti-armor or any units to counter my M60 or my trophy. The biggest thing, the only ones that they really had was the heli units here, but I was able to deter it a little bit with my Lav AD, and now we're going to use our Super Cobras as well to engage those helicopter units. But here we stopped putting the pressure on them, so they're going to be able to get their Iglas back up. Here I'm just being a sacrificial unit with those guys. Not the best. We were able to get those supplies out. Could move our M60 up, try to take some pop shots at those enemy units. Did end up losing our trophy and 2 of our Super Cobras. So not the smartest move on me. I was being a little risky there. But we did push them back a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to sustain that. Here we have our, oh nice, we have our Lav AD. I completely forgot about the Lav AD. Nice, we have our Lav AD coming up. We're going to pop some smoke to make that missile miss. Funny saying. And then yeah, just keep pushing him up, because at this point I'm just gonna we have the pressure on them. He notices that I have a Lav AD, so I'm gonna make use of him being scared, push him up to try to take out any anti-air or any specialized unit, anti-armor, anti-air unit that I could take out. I'm going to try to take him out. Pop some smoke. Then he did artillery me, so that's why I moved. I was quick to move because I knew that he'd probably artillery me or drop a bomb on me. They do have a sprut coming in, so that's exactly why I like hiding my... I love hiding my units behind buildings to ambush them. It's really fun doing that. We do have two M60s. We're going to try to try to flank them. We're going to be able to get some nice shots, and I think that missed. Oh, no. Okay, nice. We'll see if we're able to take that out. We did lose our Lav AD. So here we're able to put a lot of pressure on to allow our enemies to, our friendlies to be able to come back from the destruction that was happening on F. Drop some bombs on that supply spot, so that way the Iglis can resupply their munitions. So a lot of this pressure was able to allow my friendlies to I don't know, I can't think of the word right now, but they're able to come back from that, be able to get a better foot going and put more pressure on the front line. So that's why I wasn't too worried. I got lucky though in this match because the enemy wasn't really pushing on the right flank. They're putting too much pressure on the middle, and that's why the right flank here was collapsing, just because they didn't have a nice defensive line. They didn't have enough anti-armor units. They didn't have enough anti-infantry. They were focusing too much on the middle, and they did have the helis, but because they didn't have any armor to counter my Lav AD. I mean, they did have the helis were able to counter my Lav AD, but it wasn't enough to protect all their units, so they did lose a few. And it's going to be more expensive than what my Lav AD is, so we're going to have to just keep putting the pressure on them, keep putting the pace on them, and they're not going to be able to be as effective as they might have been. So here we're able to make use of our Lav M as well. So you just keep dropping artillery rounds on them, keep putting the pressure, making them constantly move, not able to reposition properly. Get our Eagle out. I don't know what I'm going to use the Eagle for. I think I'm going to try to take out maybe the helicopters or something. Or if they bring out a bomber. I don't know what I'm doing with that F-15. Again, I think that another mistake I'm making too is I'm not moving my Lav M enough. I'm getting a little too sloppy because I noticed that the enemy isn't being as effective with their units when it comes to their microing or just providing adequate support to them. So I'm kind of getting lazy and not being as effective or efficient with my units as I should be. Oh, here I got lucky too, seeing again, remember what I was saying earlier about trying to do long flanks with the helicopters. So we're gonna come back and do 2 strafing runs on that guy. I can't say the name, but the helicopter. Exactly why I have a nice defensive line on the right, but I wasn't expecting them to do that later in the game, so I got lucky there. Again, some of this game is just luck, not all skill, so I just have really high luck. That's why I'm able to do all the moves I'm able to do. It's not skill, just luck, guys. Remember that. Okay, for here we're gonna go ahead and RTB R-15. Do notice that they have another air unit out there. Here I'm not able to. I need to get more units on the front line, but I think a lot of what they're just trying to focus on is the middle. So it's not gonna be. I'm not too worried about the right, but I'm making assumptions here. So if they fall into those assumptions, then it works out for me. But the thing with the assumptions is if they're not true, then you get screwed. So far, we're just trying to get some more trophies and M60s to the front line, and we have another M60 pushing on the right there, just in case they make some sort of advance on the right flank. Then I could, able to engage those units, keep them there for a little bit, and then reinforce as needed. But we do have, First Recon. We do have those airborne snipers. I think we have a Lab AD on the right side too. So if they do some sort of push, I'll be able to respond for at least a minute, and then that should give me enough time to get some helicopters over there, or even some bombers up. So we're going to go to move our Force Recon, I believe, in the forest there, because I want to be able to identify any units that are going to be pushing on the right flank. I just want to stay. I don't want to stay there and let them just come to me unbeknownst. I want to be able to see them and then let them come to me and then know ahead of time and then prepare an ambush. So here we're going to stop our units because we do notice that they're going to be setting some artillery. We're going to push on the left flank there, support those friendly units. Push up our M60. We're going to attack from various angles, so not just try to hit their front armor, but try to hit the sides or the back as well. So attacking from or shooting rounds from various positions is really beneficial too, especially since in this case we have a lot of support or cover from the buildings, so that helps us out a lot too. Here I notice I really don't have a lot of, sea anti-air, so I'm getting a Guardian, some Super Cobras to deal with those units. So a lot of this one I could have done better if I just would have had the adequate amount of anti-air units. So if I would have had some Stingers earlier when I made that push, I could have been able to deter those helis a lot better. And then if I had a Lab AD as well, and then just a tank taking the hits for the Lab AD, I could have done so much better. But I wasn't doing that, so again, just that's why you always just watch your footage and then see what you can do better and improve on it. So here, I think a lot of what I could have done was earlier have more Stinger units, have more Lab ADs, and then have a nice shield in front of that. So like a trophy or a couple M60s to tank the hits from those helicopters or any of those units. So that way I'm able to take them out and then retreat them as needed. So here we're going to go ahead and push up our Super Cobras and our Guardian. Being a little aggressive with our M60 there. Again, he could take quite a bit of hits. Oh, and then I do see those 2 tanks right there, so we're going to pop some smoke. Keep him there. We're going to go ahead and try to flank him with a trophy. But I think our M60 is going to be taken out. But here we're just focusing on pressure. It doesn't give them enough time to make the best decisions. So when they start making mistakes, we're going to be able to capitalize on that. So our M60, we're just keeping him in the same spot and just push him back, retreat him. And then all those spruts, oh my god. So I'm just going to try to retreat my tank. And then I think I'm going to end up losing him. I'm not sure. But we're going to try to save him. I think I'd end up losing him anyways. So here again, we're keeping them at bay. They're not able to really get a front line going. They're not able to get a nice offensive going. We're just consistently putting pressure on them and then having them, keeping them at bay, and they're not going to be able to take the objective there. Because here, if they take the objective, then we're going to end up losing the game. If they take, I think, 1 or 2 more points. So we're going to start moving up our Lab AD and our first recon. Since we noticed with our first recon that they don't really have any units out there, we're going to go ahead and take advantage of that and that exposed side and push up our Lab AD to engage any helicopters. And then we ended up losing our trophy anyway, so that was that was my fault though. I should have pushed him. I should have made a nice route using the buildings to provide cover, not assume that I was safe in the friendly encampment that we have here. There's a lot of enemy units sort of clumped up right here. It'd be nice for a nuke, but I don't have a nuke. I don't know what I'm going to use here. About 1,200 points, so we'll see what... See, here I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So we're going to make our way into the right flank. Try to take advantage of their exposed sides here. Not providing a lot of... they don't have anything to really defend that, so we're going to take advantage of that. So I'm going to get some supplies, resupply our M60. And then, what else are we going to do here? Let's see. Get some more, cat dragons. Put them on the right flank, so that way if they do any more pushes on the right side, we're able to stall that out, provide us some time to hopefully destroy any enemy units that they're pushing in from the forest, but also bring up some reinforcements if needed. So we do see Lab AD. This is exactly why I wanted to do this, because they didn't have any units protecting that side, so they're going to push up, give our Lab AD a nice chance to expose that and take out any of their helis. Because right now we're a little too much focused on the middle side. So I'm taking advantage of this exposed right, trying to get some. And then also look, see exactly. So if I would have been smart and just try to really reorient myself to push more on the right flank, especially early in the game too, we could have really collapsed the right flank harder than what we did earlier. That would have been way better. But take what we get, learn from it. So here they're just sending out, I think that was a bunch of cruise missiles, I'm not sure. But you're going to be able to, I think, take out that tour, I'm not sure. And I see another exposed tour. So again, I really wish I would have had somewhat of a nice offensive here. Because this is just completely exposed. G, if I would have been able to get a nice push on a G, it would have opened up their middle for our friendlies to push up. And then we would just hit them from all different angles. And that would have been really good. So again, I think a lot of this one is my mistake too. We could have been able to handle this much more swiftly, but I would say this is my fault because the right was my responsibility, so therefore my fault. So we're going to push up our Lab AD, being a little aggressive since it's open, having him move his units, but yeah, it's not going to be that effective. I should have had like an M60 or something be over here. So I'm going to keep pushing up. Try to save those CQC units, but probably not going to be able to save them. Pushing up our Apache and our Super Cobra there, being a little aggressive. Here only about 5 minutes of the game, so I'm going to be a little more riskier, but try not to be too risky enough where we're going to lose the game. Have our Cat Dragons coming up. Again, I'm going to put them in the forest there to provide support and stop any push that they try to get up. Then we also have some Stingers. We should have brought those Stingers out a long time ago. Been way better. So I'm going to keep pushing, keep pushing. I don't think it's going to be enough time for my FEP to get there, provide another lab AD. But just going to be able to hopefully get there in time just in case they do a push, and we'll be able to stop it. I don't know why I moved. I don't know why I did that. That was way too close. So that was a dumb move on me. Here we're going to move up our Stinger teams, spread them out a little bit so that way we don't get artilleried. Get our cat dragons back in a better spot, and then move up our airborne as well. Try to give them up there in the tree line to get a better spot just in case they do push up any enemy units. Our M60 is going to be resupplied. We do have our Cobras coming in back up here. I'm going to go ahead and resupply them as well. So here we do get some hits off on the air unit there. Hopefully take out that enemy helicopter, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it. Yeah. Enemy Russian helicopters are just super strong. Especially with the added benefit of those ECMs. Just even harder to hit. So if you're not using Ranger Stingers, it's really hard to hit. Or STT, it's not going to be fun for you at all. So we're going to end up losing those Force Recon, unfortunately, so we don't have any more sight on the enemy in there. We only got about 4 minutes of the game. So far we have a decent advantage with map control, but that could be easily taken if we don't take advantage of that. So here just trying to provide some more support to my units. The Lab AD and the FEP coming up. I think what I'm going to try to do here too as well is bring up more helis, because I noticed that if the best way that they're going to be able to take this is with infantry and tanks, but in order to do that they need to have cover from helis. So if we bring our helis there, we'll be able to counter their helis and also use our Apache to take out any of those any pushes by enemy vehicles. I'm going to go to push up our Cat Dragons as well since we're moving up our M60. So again, I think the biggest thing that I could have done better in this game was utilize more anti-air units, Stingers, Lab ADs, also reorient myself to attack from the exposed sides. So we understood that they're exposed, they have an exposed right flank. Then early in the game too, they we kind of were able to conclude that. And so if we were to take advantage of that, then we would have had a better time really taking G. But no, I did not do that. So that was my mistake. Could have definitely helped out my friendlies there by doing that. So that just wasn't wise of me. But learn from your mistakes. But again, that's why I wanted to push on my Cat Dragons, but it wasn't the best. We taking some hits, and they end up nuking. I think that's their nuke or my nuke. I'm not sure. So here, yep, why we want to bring the Apache. I'm going to move up our Lab AD, move up our Airborne, try to take for G, push up our Apache, or push back our Apache, push up our Guardian. I think we're going to push him up. So we do have a nice air net here, Stingers, Lab AD, and Guardian. So if they do push up any helis, we should be able to deter them, or at least if not deter them, and get some kills if they just are being risky too. So about 1100 points. I could have brought some bombers up. Let's see, what are we gonna do here? I think we're gonna Strigel and then Prowler. So be able to cover our Strigel's bottom, drop some bombs onto DH. Yeah, see, we get those kills. Nice. So our Lab AD is going to engage that airborne units. I think we're going to be able to take it out. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, I think our friendlies took him out, so that's perfect. We're able to do some damage and let them finish the job. So here we have a minute left, so we're going to be aggressive with our... We did end up losing that Striegel, so that was a waste anyways. But we're going to make use of our helicopters there, push them and be aggressive, and deter any push that they have to try to take for F. And our friendlies as well are doing that. Here, I don't care if I lose these guys. I'm just trying to make sure they don't take it in the last minute. We do have enough points to also bring up some more helis, so I'm not too afraid about losing these guys. We have our trophy as well coming into push. We're going to be able to take out those Cornets, and we did end up taking G, so right here we're just putting a lot of pressure on them, a lot of pressure. And move up our trophy. Again, so we're able to we came in at the right time to provide support. Able to take in G. So now the enemy is going to be scattered and trying to figure out where to go. Trying to do last digit artillery. 30 seconds left. They're not going to be able to do much. They don't have the Stingers in the right spot. Their Eglas are just way back there. And even then, even if I lose my Apaches, that's fine. They're not going to have enough time to really take anything. I'm going to pull back our trophy. Try to just keep them back there so that way if they do push down the main road, we're going to be able to take them out. And then we do end up losing those 2 helis, but it is going to be to no avail for them, and we're going to win this match. So we're going to go ahead and see the score here in about 5 seconds. And we did end up doing pretty okay. Definitely could have been, I made a lot of mistakes, and that could have been avoided and would have definitely helped my teammates. So a lot of that was my fault. So a decent score here. This was a pretty fun match. Again, a lot of this was my fault, especially making it a minor victory. Because, dude, that was so open on the right flank. If I would have just taken advantage of that, exploited it, we could have had the match in the bag way earlier in the game, or at least had a major victory over a minor victory. So again, that was pretty fun. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this match analysis, and if you guys learned anything from it, and any tips or tricks that you have for me. I'm always wanting to learn and get better at this game. It's, again, my favorite RTS that I've ever played. And then here's just some of the scores. Live AD, killed a Cat Ran and a MiG. Force Recon doing some damage earlier in the game. Apache, getting a lot of points. So we did a pretty decent amount of damage. Decent amount of kills, so doing pretty well. Yeah, I really loved using those M60s. I think they're really undervalued. And then Super Cobra getting some kills there at the end. Apache, Live AD. I'll probably make a review on the M60 and also the M8. I think it's the the MRAP. That thing is so good. But with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.